us to the production phase, where we use artificial intelligence to create 3D renderings of these memories. These 3D renderings will then be put into the virtual reality headset. This package will then go through the customization and uniqueness phase, where we tailor it to every single one of our patients. So for example, if a patient has had Alzheimer's for 1 year, they're going to need a different form of therapy as a patient who has had Alzheimer's for 10 years. And lastly, this full cohesive package goes to the delivery phase, where we deliver it to the therapist and the therapists use it with our patients.
So something that we want to note is the software that we plan to use in our medical therapy, we plan to release to the general public as well. It's going to be an app created for the Oculus VR, and it's going to be a subscription-based service paid annually. It's going to have the full capability of recreating memories using artificial intelligence through videos, photos, and personal accounts. Another thing we plan to do, train an artificial intelligence bot specifically focused towards Alzheimer's therapy. This can act as a sort of virtual therapist for our clients. So this app can be used as anyone that has an Oculus as a sort of recreational service or as a preventative Alzheimer's therapy.
So there are many positives associated with having the software on top of the therapy. The first thing that we're going to point out is that it allows us to gather market data much quicker, because we're going to be able to get this software in the hands of our customer in a much faster manner. This will then allow us to get an authentic market analysis, because since our software is going to be in the hands of our customer in a faster manner, we're going to be able to see what they want and what their needs are. And lastly, another positive associated with it is it allows for broader distribution from the standpoint of the investor, because we're going to have 2 streams of revenue, one from the software and we're going to have one from the therapy, which allow us to target a larger demographic.
So why choose us? So we did some research on some other cognitive stimulating therapies, and we're going to explain to you why we're superior. So Salience, for example. Salience uses something called transcranial magnetic stimulation in order to improve cognitive ability in Alzheimer's patients. It's a helmet-like device that you put on for 30 minutes per day and experience magnetic stimuli in order to achieve this goal. However, there are a lot of side effects associated with this therapy, and people experience a lot of discomfort in the area where the helmet is applied. Cognito, on the other hand, uses a similar helmet-like design, but instead of experiencing magnetic stimuli, you listen to certain frequencies. The problem with this therapy, however, is that it's not specifically focused on the Alzheimer's industry and is rather more focused on treating symptoms of ADHD and depression. So why choose us? Here at Remember Reality, we create a fully customized visual experience for our patients that strengthens a deep sense of identity within them. And not only do we subconsciously improve their cognitive ability, but we consciously interact with their mind in a way that lets them regain their sense of identity and purpose.
So our marketing, advertising, and promotion plan. The first thing that we want to point out is our target clientele will be mental health doctors, caregivers, and therapists. Doctor referrals. Doctor referrals will be our main stream of revenue. We want to emphasize that we're going to create structure for arrangements with doctor referrals so that they can get special benefits. The second thing that we plan on doing is going to mental health conventions. This is just an example of a mental health convention that we can attend in July. Here at these mental health conventions, we can pitch our idea to doctors, get their opinion and feedback. Social media. We also plan on advertising social media. Those are just a couple applications we can advertise through. And lastly, FDA approval. FDA approval is not necessary, but we do believe it will allow us to gain some credibility along with insurance. We've conducted a mock trial in our appendix, and we encourage everyone to ask questions on that. So our financials. The assumptions in our financials are also later in the slides, but we're just going to quickly go over it. So the first thing we're going to point out is that this is a hockey stick graph. By year 1, we are expected to lose money. By year 3, we're expected to have a significant profit of around $960,000. And this is the financials for the therapy.
So on the software side, as you can see here as well, all our assumptions are available in our appendix. And as of year 3, we plan to profit $1.7 million. And as of year 3, with the medical therapy as well, we plan to profit around $2.7 million. So here at Remember Reality, we are all about helping. We want to improve the lives of Alzheimer's patients, their families, their caregivers, and in doing so, ensure an adequate return to our investors. So help us bring back yesterday in hopes for a brighter tomorrow.
And with that, we can help millions of people all across the world, just like my grandfather. Thank you.
Thank you.
I need y'all to give it up for these young people one more time. I don't know if y'all know how hard it is to stand on a stage in front of all of these people first thing on a Friday morning. Do you know that they say that more people are afraid of public speaking than death? This is not an easy thing to do, and they're doing it at a time that most of us would definitely not have been able to make that happen. So give it up for these young people one more time.
Oh, you got a lot to go through. Keep on going.
These are the appendix. Like, look at how much work. This is a lot of work that was done to put this all together. I promise you, this is not easy. One more time, give it up for our youth entrepreneurship champions. Now, why did we do all of this? Well, a huge reason why we do all of this is because as an organization, we're all about empowering futures. I did not misspell that. I did that on purpose. It is on brand. And one of the huge things that we are so grateful for are not just the young people, not just the teachers, not just the educators, not just the districts that help us to do this work, but also to our corporate partners. So I will be inviting Taimur Ashkan to the stage, who is with one of our corporate partners, Intuit, who will be leading a discussion about empowering futures with our young entrepreneurship champions. Taimur?
Thank you. Great job, everyone. That was incredible. I've seen a lot of pitches. I've been working with young people for now a couple of years, and I learned something from each one of you all. So really thank you all for coming here and listening to their pitches. I see a lot of people here now that have come in. How many of you are in high school, middle school? That's incredible. Welcome. Thank you. Okay, so where to begin, right? You all have been working on your businesses for a little while. You've learned a lot through this process, correct? Can you name me one skill or characteristic or attribute where you feel very proud of that you learned through this process? And who wants to go first?
I don't mind.
I can
Y'all wanna
start.
go? All right.
I would definitely say discipline. I mean, just getting up and doing the things you don't want to do. We practiced this presentation so many times to the point where it became second nature for us, and we both pushed each other in order to achieve a great goal of winning something like the championship. So out of everything I learned, I'd say the most notable life goal is definitely discipline.
I'd like to add on to that. I also think it's the ability of getting back up from failure. Bryce and I had around 5 ideas or 5 business ideas before we started this company, and this was the one that was successful, but all the other 5 actually failed. So we were actually able, we powered through, and we were able to, we put our mind and soul onto this business, and we believe it could be successful.
I'll piggyback too off of fear of failure. I can say for my business, it took a lot of just overcoming and saying, listen, if this is what you want to do, you have to put the work in. And I'd like to add on too, for balance. I know I'm still a senior in high school, and even on campus, I do have a lot of leadership roles as well. So making sure to maintain being a student, being a leader on campus, and then being a business owner. Because although they all require NIL, they all require different versions of NIL. So being able to flip those switches and make sure that the things that you need and that you care about are taken care of, I think that in itself, for me personally, was number one in making sure that everything was where it needed to be accordingly.
So I think for me, the number one thing I learned was selling. You can't own a company if you don't know how to sell. You need to know how to sell a pen. You need to know how to sell anything, because knowing how to sell and knowing how to make an offer is the number one thing in a company that you need. How to build an offer, how to build services, and how to do everything like that. Because if you do not know how to sell, you cannot own a company.
Great, thank you so much. You know what I just want to note, and I appreciate about each of your businesses, is that you did a lot of research about your customer, right? You really connected with the person you're trying to help here and you're trying to serve. And at Intuit, you know, that's all that what we do, right? When we develop our products and services, we focus on customer empathy. And I want to say the fact that you all really circled your products around that, and I can see it exemplified in your pitches, was incredible. So everything that you had shared, it resonates in what you had pitched earlier. Can you all tell me, so, you know, Intuit is a proud partner of NFTE, and I want to hear a little bit about your journey at NFTE and how NFTE has helped you got to where you are today.
Okay. Yeah, you wanna...
I'll go
So I'm very proud of Nifty because even if you failed in your business, just being on that path of, trying to learn more about business, like it will come to a point where you're gonna learn, but from the beginning, you're obviously gonna fail, and you have to learn about that. You have to learn how to fail. You have to learn how to be disciplined. But what I'm very proud about Nifty is even if you're doing it wrong, you're still going on that business path where you're gonna figure it out. If that makes any sense, like you're gonna keep going and keep going and keep going, and it's gonna come to a point where you're gonna get it, even if you've been doing it wrong for like 1 year or like 3 years, because time compounds. You're gonna learn about that. Your failures is gonna save you time, and your successes is gonna give you time, and that's the one thing you gotta know about Nifty.
I'd like to add on to that. Nifty allows for people to get these opportunities to present businesses, and otherwise these people may not have had these opportunities. And they're doing something that they're scared of doing, but they know in reality that when they do the thing that they're scared of doing, they're going to eventually grow and understand. And this is just a start for, it could be a start for a business and who has a long future.
Yeah, just to add on to that as well, I think, if I'm being totally honest, if it wasn't for Nifty, we would have never came up with this great idea. Having this opportunity, having the structure surrounding it that Nifty gave us is the reason why we were so motivated to do so. So I think definitely just having this opportunity is something so amazing that Nifty created for us. And in the process, I learned so many valuable lessons.
Right. I can say for personal experience, Nifty has given resources. But one of the things that I can say, their team is like something that I, to this day, have not experienced working with other organizations that do try to help youth on a path of business or anything. One of the things when it comes to Nifty is their mentors, just everyone on that team, they're going to root for you. And I know, as you guys probably know, there are a lot of competitions within the program. But literally, no matter what side or who they're mentoring, whatever the case may be, them as a whole, they're going to be there to help and represent you. To this day, like, Mr. Daniel, he knows he was still is one of my mentors. And if I have a question, it's like, hey, I need da-da-da, and he's there. It's always been like that with everyone that I've gotten to work with in Nifty, even people who, let's say, weren't my designated mentor, but they've all been there. And when I had questions, they were there to support. So I can definitely say the number one thing, aside from like what the program is just the people who are there. And they definitely, you have a good team on you.
Great. Thank you so much. When you mentioned, Niall, for example, you're a senior in high school, I know all of you are either in high school or just recently graduated. It reminds me of the fact that, this is new for you all. You have like a long career ahead of you, right? You're gonna learn a lot. And the fact that you're starting at this place is incredible. Coming from Intuit, we work with startups. Like our focus is on small and medium-sized economy, and I think the average age of an entrepreneur in that economy is, I think, somewhere in their 30s or 40s. So why does, and I'm going to go a little rogue with my question though, why does being a young person starting out with these ideas that you all have is an asset for you?
Oh, being young, as if hope God grants us, but I feel like we have a little bit more time to kind of make slip-ups. Not to say that that's just what we're here to do, but I think the younger you start, the more because people are willing to kind of educate you. They'll take you under their wing. Okay, you're young, so and in the back of my mind, I'm always like, yeah, you should always learn, no matter how young you are, how old you are. Learning should always be the front line because you can never learn too much. But I think with being young too, one, you have that time to learn more and experience and say, because I can guarantee 10 years from now, all of us are going to be somewhere successful and doing what we can do. But because we started young, we were able to take in more. We were able to have a little bit more slip-ups, and people aren't going to kind of point the finger at you a little bit. I think it just gives you a little bit more wiggle room to find who you are, one, and find who you are as a business owner and who you want to be as a leader. So yeah.
Stemming off of that, I would definitely say like it gives me a lot of hope because I know I have a whole life ahead of me to mess up a bunch of times and fail over and over and over. And also another thing is it just shows how achievable these goals that we make for ourselves are. It's so easy to have a limiting belief and think, I could never make a business, I can never be an entrepreneur, I don't know this, I don't know that, I don't know anything. And being 17 and achieving something like this and doing something so amazing, it's just like the sky's the limit. Who's to say that I can't achieve greater things in the future because of this opportunity? And all of us as well, I know we think the same way.
Yeah, and to add on that, I think this allows for self-responsibility and accountability, as this is something that is so scary to us. But if we were to really dedicate our time and stay disciplined with it, we're gonna be able to learn the idea of staying disciplined, and we're gonna be able to get whatever we want, only if we put our mind and hard work to it.
They said it amazingly.
You sure you don't want anything to add?
Nah.
No? Okay, good stuff. So, first of all, snaps to the words of wisdom there. Great job. I really resonate with that, especially, you know, I just 10 years ago also started as an entrepreneur, and hearing what you all said, I wish I had peers like you all to have heard some of those things. So, really great. You know, so as I mentioned, I'm at Intuit. I think I mentioned like 5 times now. I want to ask you all, how can companies like Intuit, Fortune 100 companies, support young entrepreneurs like yourselves?
All right, I'll go first. But money always helps. But aside from that, I would say,
let's be honest here. It's all good.
But aside from that, and this goes back to me talking about Nifty, and I'm sorry for, but I think, so the reality of it is with Nifty, we do the business competitions, and majority of the competitions, they result in us either getting like a prize, so we'll win money from it. Aside from Nifty, I've done other business competitions, pitch challenges, where that helped with my startup costs. But I just think having a platform and having an organization that is like hands-on. Right now, and even my business it depends a lot on technology and social platforms, but having a business that is like, you can go into the schools or even meet virtually and have a one-on-one conversation, that in itself does so much. And I don't think people realize that having mentors and I've been in other programs with other cohorts and stuff where they would supply like a mentor. And even aside from the prizes that you get, you learn so much just from having a conversation with somebody who was experienced. So like with Intuit, if you guys were doing or adding on to something, I would definitely say just having mentorship and having those people where the students can have one-on-one support. That in itself, because I've learned most of my stuff aside from, yes, getting the money, which has helped tremendously, but learning, because even once you have the money, you have to know what to do with it. So you have to learn from people, and that's one of what I would say would be the most helpful things to do if you guys were trying to get advice.
And I also think a big thing that Intuit and companies like that could offer is like structure to these competitions. So, you know, like we're gonna need that hand-holding. We're gonna need those people that support us, which I've realized in this organization, so many people are here to help, so many people are here to support, and I'm so grateful to have that. And another thing that I wanna note is starting this competition, I remember somebody came up to me and he looked at me and he goes, everything's already been invented. Like, what are you gonna invent? And it was like, you know, like you have to realize like you don't have to be a pioneer in your industry. Google was the 25th search engine that was released, and look at them now. They're the biggest. So it's just about finding things that can be done better, doing them better, and in turn, making something amazing.
And I believe a platform like Intuit allows for us kids to get recognized, because let's face it, we are kids. It's hard for us to get recognized. We don't have the credibility that some kids necessarily deserve. So a platform like this, well, they can hold our hands, and they could bring us to our full potential.
I mean, I would say knowledge, because we have to put it in this perspective. Let's say Jeff Bezos recorded everything that he did from the time that he started Amazon till right now. Like, how much knowledge would we have from that? From all the mistakes he made, from all the successes. I feel like if Jeff Bezos actually did that, there would be so many more like billionaires, because it's just knowledge. Knowledge compounds with time. And if more Fortune 500 companies can do this, imagine how many billionaires and how many millionaires and multi-billion-dollar companies we'll have, since we won't have to go through those failures and through those successes that take time.
Great, great. And you know, something that I think I see a common thread here is, you know, you've either talked about mentors, or people that you've looked up to that have helped you in this journey. Can you cite or or share an example of a mentor who's really helped you in this process, and some advice that they have given you that has really stuck with you?
I mean, I'll go first. My first mentor ever, and he's still my mentor, Javon Howe from shophowell.com. He had a deep talk with me, especially about this business. He said, you have a 99% chance of failing. Do you really want to take that risk and work 20 years, 30 years of your life in a company that you're not even passionate about. He's like, you really have to you really have to take time into account, because this is something that you may be doing for like 10 years, 20 years, and 30 years. And success is simple. It just takes time. Success is doing something for so long that you start getting crazy. And that's the thing about business. So he was like, do you really want to go through with this? Do you really want to build this company? And at the end, I thought I had to make a decision for myself, because time passes and you're 15, then you turn 18, then you're 20, then you're 30, and then life flies. So I had to pivot, and then I had to say, okay, investing is what I like to do. And the only reason why I wanted to get into entrepreneurship is because I wanted to become a millionaire as fast as possible. And that doesn't work like that in life. Everything takes time.
I touched on Mr. Williams. He's here, so I'm gonna give. Well, so I'll talk about my business coach at school. So Miss Beauchamp, she wasn't here today, wasn't able to make it. But recently, we had a conversation because I'm working in the process of a new launch for something, and I was telling her about some of the things that I had been dealing with about my fears, and she was just like, "Listen, the fear of failure," and we talked about this earlier. Of failure is real, and I think the one thing she said was, remember your purpose and remember why you started. And instantly, it was just like, it all kind of, I had like a little moment. And I think always reverting back to what was the reason that you started this, and remembering that. And the whole point of me starting More to Give was, one, trying to make an impact, trying to help other people to find their purpose and make their impact. And so I think the fear of failure will always be like the number one thing that you gotta look out for, but you also have to make sure that it doesn't take over you, because once it happens, it's like game over. So remembering what she told me, remembering your passion and remember why you started, and I think that always helps you kind of snap back and get to where you need to be.
Facts.
Yeah, I would definitely say like two of my biggest mentors, obviously being my parents, my dad always being my biggest supporter, and specifically my mom, because she was really the person that instilled a deep love for public speaking since a young age. I remember I had a 4th grade speech contest. She was the one dragging me out of bed early before, making me get up and practice. And I mean, it paid off to this day. I think that's one of my strong suits, is being able to present my ideas in an amazing manner. And another shout out I want to give to Mr. Gonzalez, because Jordan's father taught me a bunch over this process on the business side of everything. And I'm really grateful to have the opportunity of working with him.
Yeah, and I'd like to say my parents as well. My dad, when we were practicing this presentation, he pushed us to stay up till 2 a.m., 3 a.m., even though Bryce and I, we were like, Dad, we know how to do this. He was like, just do it, just make it muscle memory. And we did it a million times, and it did pay off. And then my mom, she's always motivating me and pushing me. And I love both my parents, and they're definitely my mentors.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, and it's important to know that this doesn't happen in a vacuum, right? It doesn't develop overnight, and there's a team, there's people to come in and help here, and it's okay to ask for help, and I encourage that. I want to know, just raise of hands, who's interested in starting a business or starting something? Yeah? Don't be shy, raise it high, come on. Yeah, it's a good thing. So there's people here who are interested in starting something. I asked you what advice you've gotten, now going through this process, and someone who's just starting out thinking about their idea, what would you tell them that you should know or be prepared for, that you wish you had known?
Okay, be prepared for people to tell you no. I think that is the number one. If you're starting it out, I'm looking at them because I saw somebody raise their hand over here, but just in general, no matter how old you are, be prepared for people to say, one, you can't do it, or no. Be prepared for those doubts. I feel like, because once you can allow them to roll off your back, then the sky's the limit for you, because no matter where you go, you're going to have supporters, but you're also going to have people who just genuinely don't want to see you succeed. And that's the case with anyone, everywhere you go. If you gain 100 supporters, you're going to gain 10 people that's going to tell you no, or tell you that they don't want to see you succeed. So just being able to take that in and use that as energy to fuel you and go even harder, I mean, that's what I did. So that'd be my number one thing, especially starting out. That's just,
Yeah. To add on to that, when Bryce and I won the Nifty competition, I went to school the next day. All my friends are congratulating me. And then someone actually comes up to me and they're like, hey, do you really think you can start this? And I'm like, yeah, definitely, 100%. We just have to put the time and effort. And they go, I don't think you can do it. I think it's too much work. You don't have the resources to do it. I was just like, okay, watch us.
Send them the picture of you up here. Make sure they get that.
So
Yeah.
two things that I would say is the riches are in the niches. That's the number one thing. And don't be afraid of pricing your product more than anybody else. You have to understand that pricing is number one, and knowing how to create an offer is another thing. So selling, the riches are in the niches, and don't be scared of pricing your product as high as you want.
One thing I would note is to trust your vision. Like, we're all created with a unique vision and a unique and a unique set of things that we think are cool. So when you have that little voice in your head that's like, this is gonna work, I love this, let's do it, and then somebody doubts you, I'd say push that aside and trust your vision and keep going through with what you truly believe, is gonna work. And there's nothing that you can't achieve.
Sure. The resiliency, essentially. There's a resilient team on here of young entrepreneurs who've heard no many times and have still gotten to the point where they're on the stage today. So don't let anyone use it as your strength, basically. Use it as your power and keep moving forward. I know we're about at the end of time. I know a lot of these young people want to hear, want to learn more about your business, want to learn more about your, where you're going to go next. Can you share just a quick, conclusion of, how can people here support you? How can they follow what you're doing and, help you succeed?
Well, you can visit our website at moretogive.net. You can also follow our social media platforms at SF More to Give. And like I said, I do offer mentorship programs for youth leaders, so I'm always kind of all over the place when it comes to that. I'm stationed in Broward, but I focus a lot when it comes to our in-person events on South Florida. So really, I'm kind of an open book, but if you guys ever wanted anything, you guys can email me at sfmoretogive@gmail.com, and I'm always willing to help anybody and anywhere, any place. Thank you.
I mean, at the end of this, Bryce and I, we're gonna be wandering around. If any of you guys are interested in talking to us about it, we could share some of our information. We could give our phone numbers and emails and stay connected and see where the future brings us.
Yeah, something we plan to do is create a social media. It would be under Remembered Reality, so just remember that name, RR, Remembered Reality. And a website as well is all coming, so definitely remember our name. And yeah, thank you.
Yeah, same thing with me. If you guys want to ask me any questions about business, selling, I'll answer your questions, whatever you guys like.
Great. These are future mentors and coaches. So please give a round of applause again for them. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Nifty. Thank you, the audience here. And thank you, young entrepreneurs, for sharing your business with us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.